Facts. Greetings and good vibes, y'all. Welcome back to the Leon Block. My name is Jontel. Meg is not here yet, but she will be soon. I am, however, joined by our other co-host, Chaz Neal. Welcome back to the show, Chaz. Thank
Yo,
you for
yo, 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 what's good, people?
You already know what it is. Back with another webisode tonight, except tonight we just going now. There are some stories we will get into at some point. Meg will always bring the heat. But we are going to talk a little bit about um, some things that do go on in the movement. Um, for viewers that are familiar with our coalition, Chaz Neal is an activist and journalist himself. Um, and you and I both know that there's lots of things that go on in the movement, but there's lots of things that repeat history. And
Right.
one of the things one of the first episodes I've done on the Leon Block back in November of 2020 was on the Willie Lynch letter. And if anyone is familiar with Willie Lynch, it talks about conquer and divide. Yeah, oh yeah, we're gonna get into
Right.
it. Your daily tea.
We're gonna get
Uh,
into it.
yeah, yep. We can see you. We can see you. We got you. Thank you for checking shit out, y'all. Welcome back to the Leon Block. We are going to talk about, first of all, conquer, dividing, co opting, clout chasing, all the good stuff, and how it brings down and intervenes in the progression of this movement, and why that is counterproductive, and why it is also important to speak your truth, let it out, and let it go. Chaz, if you want to talk about the Willie Lynch letter real quick and like your interpretation of that, what it means to you, and like how that's pertinent to the movement today.
Thank you. And see, the Willie Lynch letter was, even if the letter wasn't written, it is, or wasn't even spoken of, uh, it is something that is at least into existence today that we're seeing. Uh, and there was seven things that really the Willie Lynch letter and the making of a slave, because that's what we're going to call it. It was how to make a slave. It was basically a manual, instructional manual of how to basically brainwash and to control people. So there was seven things. You had genderism, ageism, tribalism, colorism,
Mm-hmm.
classism, rankism, culturalism. The seven things that can divide and separate a nation and people, which this letter was originally read in 1712. But see, we got to go back to 1620 if we really want to
Yep.
start it,
Yep.
because in 1620, there was a book written called The Makings of a Negro Slave. Now, after
Yes.
that, you have, see, and then there, it even goes further, because they had six principles to make a slave, and I'm going to read those six. So both horse and negro are no good to the economy in the wild or natural state. Number two, both must be broken and tied together for orderly production. Number three, for the orderly future, special and particular attention must be paid. Both,
Mm.
number four, most both must be crossbred to produce a variety in division of labor.
Now that
Number
right there, repeat that one.
Number four, both must be crossbred to produce a variety in division of labor.
Mm-hmm.
Number
Mm-hmm.
five,
Hold up. Explain that one really quick.
so my understanding is like what the crossbred is, because with black people, they think that we're stronger, we're more immune to things. Um,
Right.
you know, so they tested. So that's where eugenics comes in. And if people don't understand what eugenics is, uh, and because we're really gonna get deep tonight, so I really want people to go grab a seat, grab your coffee, whatever to keep you up, because we're gonna get in depth. And really,
Real.
what they did, eugenics is where it's testing characteristics, so trying to make the perfect person. the perfect human being. That's what eugenics is. And so number five is both must be taught to respond to a particular new language. Number six, physiological and physical instruction of containment must be created for female and the young offspring. Now, I really want to get into number six because that's where number six to me, honest, well, they all play, and I'll get into the other seven in a minute, but I want to talk about number six because that's what you're really seeing is the psychological and the physical instruction of containment with legislation. When you see it with, Section 8, that was to get the black man out of the house. It wasn't to
Agreed.
make the family unit stronger, uh, because if you took the man out of the house and you controlled the woman and made the woman dependent on the government, you
Yep.
control because then if you are like Minnesota's a woman's state. So the more kids you had, the more welfare you get,
And
right?
see, all of that happened between the civil rights era and the war on drugs. So you go from
Right,
1960 to 1990. Think about how much changed since then when you look at the black community, right? Because that's essentially what you're talking about, is essentially what they did. They picked the black man out, threw him in jail, and then said to the black woman, you could survive if you live off of us.
right,
We dictate
right.
how your kids are controlled. We dictate the society you live in, because without us, you have nothing.
If I send you some, can you put it up?
Yeah.
All right. Because I want you to. So when I talk about the seven things, I want to be able to look at them so that we can really get in depth because these seven things are playing out in front of us today.
So yeah, I'll go ahead and share this one if you don't mind. I'll just share the screen. The screen.
Yep.
All right. So everyone, take a look at what Chaz just put up. I don't know if you can see it on the side. So genderism,
Right.
ageism, tribalism, colorism, classism, rankism, culturalism, the seven things that can divide and separate a nation in which people, which was read in 1712, and the makings of a Negro Christian, which was written in 1620.
So let's break it down. Let's go one by one. What's the first one? Genderism, right?
Right.
So genderism is the systemic belief that people need to conform to their gender assigned at birth in a gender binary system that
Yep.
includes only female and male, right?
And that is
So
something that colonists instilled in us. If you look at indigenous cultures and indigenous peoples and other cultures around the world, this was something they really largely didn't structure into you're male and you're female. It was kind of fluid. This wasn't
right.
instilled until these white people, these kinds of white people, came along and told us otherwise.
So I'm going to give an example of what gender, and we're going to do this for all seven. I'm going to do it fast. Uh, but an example of genderism is girls and women are generally expected to dress in typically feminine ways and
Right.
be polite, accommodating, and nurturing. And men are generally expected to be strong, aggressive, and bold.
Mm-hmm.
Every society, ethnic group, and culture has gender role expectations, but they can be very different depending on the group. Yeah, from group to group. So that's we were seeing that out there today because what is the first thing when you call a black woman out for being wrong? Oh, you don't like black women. No, I just don't like people being wrong.
Right.
You know what
Right.
I'm saying? What is it? Ageism?
Ageism is the next one.
Alrighty. So let's get into that. Ageism is prejudice or discrimination on the grounds of a person's age. So what we really see this today, because what do they always tell the youth? Oh, you don't understand. You're too young. You don't know
Right.
what's going on. You don't know what's why. How do you know how to do anything? What do you mean?
What we're seeing is that in general, the clash between boomers and Gen Zers, and then millennials are stuck in the middle. But all of these different age groups, go at each other and have many different prejudices amongst another. You're so fucking spot on with that shit.
Right. We're seeing because they don't give the youth the credit they deserve because it's all about, oh, we got more knowledge than you do. Man, listen, them 1980 policies that y'all keep on using in 2022 ain't gonna get us nowhere, but they want to call themselves progressives.
So tribalism, is that like cliques and gangs?
Nope, I'm gonna break it down. So it kind of is. That's how we black people broke it down. That's how they divided us, right?
Right.
That's how they divided black people because why black people hate each other is because you're a blood, you a crip, you a vice lord, you a GD, you know what I'm saying? It's all
Mhm.
about a color. So it is what tribalism is the state or fact of being organized in a tribe of tribes. So that's what you even see with these groups out here. You see tribalism in the movement every day with these groups because when you go to an event, you see division. That's tribalism because I'm with this group, so I can't fuck with that group. That's
Mhm.
tribalism,
Mhm.
and people don't even understand that. So you got to wake up. What's the next one?
The next one is colorism, and I want y'all to keep in mind what he's speaking about in tribalism because we will get to that at some point when we talk about co-opting. Colorism, that has a lot to do with like black and brown people and the differences between us and
Now
how we're
I'm
pitted
really
against
this
each other.
this really affects people like me who are
Yes.
mixed
Yes.
because I was always told, "Oh, you're not dark enough," or with the white people, "You're too dark."
Hmm.
So my whole life, and this is what I want people to understand because I've had to fight for who I am. I've had to fight to be a black man for my own people. But you know who taught me how to fight? You know what's crazy out of all of this is who taught me how to fight and to win?
Hmm.
A white man, white people. My grandpa.
I could dig that.
You know what I'm saying? And then especially even just since I've joined the movement, a man named Kent Logan, you know, an old white man that nobody like in town, but because he told the truth and he's seen something in me. He's seen something in me. So he helped me get into charter school so I knew what to do. But I don't want to get off track. I know how I get, but
It's so yeah,
but yeah,
but no, you're right. Or you spot on with colorism. That is another thing that is set up to distract us and keep us pitted against each other.
yes.
Um, so the next one is classism. That's a big one.
That has to do with like wealth. So it is what you see with classism is prejudice against or in favor of people belonging to a particular social class. So you know how you see it now is like, oh, they're not, they see he's a thug because we ain't got no money. So the first thing they think about is when they see us because we ain't got no money, because we're black and we ain't got no money. Oh, they're a criminal. They're a thug. You know what I'm saying? But that's the thing of it is because you've even seen NBA stars being treated differently because of maybe they don't like the way they act. He's not a LeBron James. He's a nigger. I don't even know if I can say that, but
Yeah, you sure can.
he's the N word. But I got a black friend, but oh, I don't like him. That's well, I call that negrophobia. But that's a whole nother episode. But yeah, so what's the next one? But we see
So,
classism all the time too,
well, yeah. I mean, look at the homeless fight
right?
and homeless camps all over the place, and what we're dealing with quote unquote inflation, and now these loans that are coming out against black and brown people, which we've already seen with the last crash
Right, with the
10 years
last
ago.
one.
What the fuck are people thinking about and doing?
Right. And you know what's crazy? Because you just brought up a point about homeless. So yesterday was Labor Day, and me and Ashley were just driving around Minneapolis like how we do, go over south, over this, checking on my city. You know what I'm saying? Make sure everybody good. And why I see these punk ass pigs, Labor Day, a holiday, so they're getting paid holiday pay to evict people from an encampment. Well, they should be out fighting crime.
Hold up, say that again.
Yeah, they evicted an encampment yesterday. 21 people were evicted. Literally, bro, we're driving down Lake Street and people are pushing their carts.
Yeah,
At least they let them take their stuff this time. But literally, they literally no services. Labor Day, so states closed. They couldn't go down and try to get no help because there was nobody to help them. Nobody works on holidays.
this shit happening all over.
Right. It ain't just Minneapolis. We got to
Nope.
wake up.
Happening in Philly too.
Oh, yeah. I already know. I'm already know. My brother and sister live there. So I already know.
Got you. Got
I
you.
already know. I got family out there in the city of brotherly love.
Nice. Nice. Yeah, you gotta come out here sometime so we can vibe out.
Oh, man, you already know. Man, listen. Hey, well, my family, we vibe out hard. We some, the Neils, we some clowns.
Hmm?
We some straight clowns.
I'm done. Yo, so the next one is culturalism.
Culturalism. I don't know if they ready for that one. I
Mm,
don't know if they're ready for this one. I don't know. So culturalism is one that emphasizes the importance of culture in determining behavior. So if you listen to rap, you're a thug.
right.
You're a wankster.
Right.
Hmm. You see what I'm saying? They
Right.
love to be us. They love to, but when they be like us, then they got a whole name for them. You know, it's like being a fakester,
Or the appropriation of it too.
right? That too.
I know
That
what you're
too.
getting at.
But really, what is it? Okay, because let's talk about that because I've literally seen like black women get mad at white women for having like braids or but then do it beautifully. They're not like taking fun of it.
But
They're
you
doing
have to
it in a beautiful
understand,
way.
you also have to understand the structure. Like we talked about classism, colorism, rankism, genderism, ageism, tribalism. All of those play a part in the culturalism because the hierarchy that we have in America is like, I can do this. I can take whatever culture I want and slather it on me because I'm white. What it means to be white is to be void of culture. So what do? Because you're a black hole, you're a consumption piece. That's all we are as Americans. That is our culture, to consume. We are black holes. We're the black hole of the world. We don't have anything. So we have to take from other things to create who we think we are. That's culturalism.
Right.
That cultural
Right.
appropriation from white women. So when you see that and you've got black women that have spent their whole lives trying to fight for every crumb of what they deem their culture, and someone else comes along and says, "This is me," and then everyone of those people gets recognition for it, they have every right to be bitter.
Right. Right. Every word. Every reason to be.
Fuck the bullshit. Yes. Um. So these 7 things
No,
are
we
the things
forgot
that
one. We forgot. I think we forgot one of the most
Nah,
important
one,
ones.
two, three, four, five, six, seven. Genderism, ageism, tribalism, colorism, classism, rankism, culturalism.
We didn't
The
talk
seven
about
things.
rankism. We didn't talk about
We didn't
rankism.
take about rankism?
No,
I swore we did, but go ahead.
no. So rankism is discrimination against people on the grounds of rank. So if you like how we're seeing it right now, if you're not a nonprofit or if your name isn't this or if you don't have affiliation with this person, you don't get no help.
Right.
That's rankism because they hand out all the benefits to their buddies and leave the poor people behind. So I want people to know the poor people really, really, really get left behind while these
Mm-hmm.
people, right, while
Right.
they're getting paid and thinking because they're coming on barbecue and feeding us.
But let's give them a history lesson. Let's talk about Fred
Right,
Hampton real quick. Let's talk about Martin Luther King and MLK.
right,
Where are they today and why? Because there were people that the FBI and CIA and the government at large used to co-opt to bring them in, thinking they're the Judas. You got to look out for your
right,
close people, and that's what it was. Like these people, they didn't know they had to put in. Dora was talking about this the other day on the panel that she had an incident where she put out different bits of information that was different to see who was running it back to those white supremacists. This is stuff that we have to look out for in our own movement as well, and it's important.
right.
Oh, there's other ones. Matt is saying elitism is another one. That is a good idea. And sexism, yes, yes, yes.
Oh,
I'm sorry, I'm going off and I'm rambling, but this is shit that pisses me off because I have my own like personal stock in like situations such as what we are going to get into eventually. But like for me, I've witnessed um the Willie Lynch and conquer and divide tactics be used to co-opt the movement. And there's lots of people, and there's two different types of being co-opted. There's the people that are co-opted because they want to be co-opted. They want to disrupt things. They're just narcissistic, horrible fucking people. And then you also have your people that are co-opted and they don't even know they're co-opted because they think they're liberal. They think they're goody two-shoes. They think they're doing good for the community when actually they're just really harming and they're bringing people down. And this happens all over the country in every single movement that happens in every single area that is dealing with police brutality and human rights at large. It's happening right where I live. And I've had to sit back and watch and by my time I continue to stay focused on the bigger picture because I know this is what they want. I know that this has happened time and time again throughout our history. I know that this is exactly why we're talking about Willie Lynch because it happens all the time. I know this is something we have to keep focused on, but accountability is important. Accountability is important because you need to hold people accountable so that you can steer clear and keep forging your path. When you're forging your own path, what are you doing? You're cutting down trees. You're knocking down foliage so that you can get to where you're fucking going. What's the foliage? What are the trees? They are people that is in your way and not helping make progress. So I feel it is important to speak your piece.
definitely.
I feel it's important to speak your piece. I feel it's important to be mindful of not dwelling because drama is only going to bog us down. But there's a difference between drama and speaking your piece for your own self-care and accountability, but also holding people accountable because that is also what is needed in the movement. Constructive criticism is important. You know what I'm saying?
I wanted to read something because you brought up the fact about Martin Luther King, Fred Hampton, and people always say Martin was a Republican, and that's a lie because Martin didn't think he was Republican.
But first of all, Republicans historically were black and poor people and poor white people.
Right.
Shit got switched. Shit got switched, and we went into the civil rights era. We gave up what little capitalism benefits we had.
Right. Right. And see, that's what people don't understand is even like the civil rights movement hurt us more than it helped us. The civil rights movement hurt us more than it helped us because we got rid of the black nuclear family. You didn't see two-parent homes.
But this is why we are where we are today because it set the new precedent of like infighting. Were we fighting like that back then? No. That's why we were able to have bus boycotts.
Right. Million Man March. We couldn't do a Million Man March now.
Nah. I wish.
Too much division.
But we can hope for the best. Like, okay, so having a solid unit, you have to check each other. And if you can't be checked because you refuse to hold yourself accountable when someone is pointing a finger at you, you're going to get yourself kicked out of the circle. Do you know what I'm saying? Now, and that's not you I'm talking about. That is other people I'm talking about. Because what I'm saying is the movement of progress, not the movement of unaccountability or fakeness or clout. Because I'm not looking at things monetarily. I'm not looking at money. I'm looking at love. I'm looking at compassion. I'm looking at unity. I'm looking at community because that is important. Sometimes,
and people always want to talk about unity and community, but they forget to talk about accountability.
Yes.
That's the main one. Everybody, and that's what's crazy because as I don't know if a lot of people know my story and or whatever, but I was a diehard BLM. I can't stand BLM right now.
The organization itself.
Right.
Even,
I honestly, I'm gonna take it a step further, and people are gonna hate me for this, but this is my truth because there's certain activists that have even fucked up the movement.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because they've abused it. They've turned people into victims. They victimized people and then made people think they were crazy.
Now, hold on,
and they even
victimized
victimized them more.
I want to remind people that Jontel, myself, and the Leon Block Independent Media does not engage in drama. What I do engage in is people having a platform and a safe space to speak their truth. That is what we're here for. Proceed, Chaz.
No, no, thank you for that because, like, and this is my truth because I was
Yes.
part of the problem. And what I'm saying about my truth is what I want to tell people is when people are doing wrong, speak out about it because being silent doesn't help.
Right.
And there's a lot of people, even me myself, until a, a person that I thought was my brother backstabbed me, backstabbed me. And I lied for this man to cover up his lies, to cover up more lies. And that hurt people. And now, by me calling him out for his lies and hurting people, it's going to hurt other people because instead of facing his lies, he's running from them and sending other people, like women.
So let me
And then,
ask, what made you feel the need to speak your truth on this? Was this like something ongoing that you felt the need you had to get off your chest because you couldn't take no more?
no, honestly, I'm to be 100. Uh, that ain't what the reason why I did it is I would sit here and lie for this man, and yet you can't tell people the truth about me, about my case when you know it. If you don't, if you didn't remember exactly word for word, why didn't you have that person reach out to me instead of speaking stupidly?
Because people do things that have nothing to do with you sometimes, and that's part of understanding
No,
that.
you no no. You want to know what it is? Because the police, oh, they killing people out here. See,
Right.
but they letting them get away with it because they scared. They've been arrested a few times. Police beat their ass,
Well,
so
that's another thing.
they don't want to
That's
come
another
back out
thing is
here.
that people are co-opted and don't realize they're co-opted. There's things that are dangled
Right,
over their head that certain departments and certain kind of entities know that they can keep them in a certain line. And these
right.
people don't even realize that they're puppets as well. They think they're free and they're not. None of us are actually free.
None of us. You know how we get free? Because I thought I was free because I was just going under whoever. It didn't matter to me who what politician it was. I was going at them. And what's crazy is I thought I was protecting myself, but we don't even support each other. And that's what's crazy. We don't even support each other. We don't even support each other because we'll ask for something free before we'll go pay full price. But you ain't going to get no
Right.
discount, no free stuff at Macy's.
Right.
You ain't going to get no free shoes at Foot Locker. Why you want something from free from me? I got a family to feed, just like Nike got a whole company to feed.
That is the effects of Willie Lynch and capitalism combined in one. Oh,
Right.
white supremacy. That's with a little dose of white supremacy.
Right. We don't support each other. I had a conversation today and I asked a woman, uh, I said, when you're looking for a relationship, would you rather want a man that's coming in the relationship 50-50 or 100-100? And she was like, I want 100-100. Why I want 50-50? Because I'm only getting 50% of them. So
Right.
why would I want a 50-50 relationship? I want 100 of everything. And that's what we're getting away from because how many people ever ever saw their grandma when y'all was younger reach for her wallet or purse and pay for something? Your grandpa always did it. But now
Right.
when I know when my grandkids go out with their then my mom and dad ain't together. And my dad definitely, no disrespect, pops, but you
But
cheap as
see,
hell.
what you're talking about has to do with classism, has to do with our
Right.
economy, and the ways that they used to keep capitalism going was to put women in the workforce. It wasn't about changing social norms or standards because that was
Oh,
something they've been fighting for since the 1800s. They knew what they were doing when they did that.
right. Oh yeah, they knew what they was doing. And that's what I'm saying. They call the Republicans racist. Why don't people look at the Democrat policies and let's talk about racism?
Mhm.
Let's talk
Mhm.
about it then. And then let's talk about what makes the Republican Party really bad is Trump and some of these candidates. That's what makes it bad. It ain't all of them because you got people calling out Trump that are Republican. But are they getting attention? No. because that ain't what it's the right thing to do. That doesn't sell. You you gotta agree with Trump. You know what I'm saying? You can't have inner fighting
Right.
inside your party. That doesn't look good. So of course they're not going to give no attention. That's why everybody you get any
And
Republican
and
to be
speaking of that, I want to get back to the task, to the subject at hand, is
right.
infighting and why it's so disruptive to the movement. So why did you feel the need? And I want to talk about this because it's important, because a lot of people, I feel, think that this is something that's going to be ongoing. And I want you to remind people of why it's not, why we have to refocus this. And I feel the attention needs to be on this now, so people get it. And if people don't fuck with you because of that, so be it. But that lets us know where they stand in this movement.
No, you know, like we said
You feel
earlier,
me?
man. Right. No, and I'm going to answer that because, like I said, and for people to know, I didn't take that live down. I don't know what happened. Um, but that wasn't me that took down the live. Uh, and the reason why this isn't to be vindictive. This is about truth and transparency because that's what we're out here screaming, right? And all he had to do was when somebody asked a question about me was to tell the truth. He didn't have to lie. There was nothing to lie about. So why would you lie? So for me, I felt like I'm sitting here looking people in the face that I tell them I love them, but I know certain things and I'm not telling them.
Right.
And
It's
I
not
had
about the
to
pettiness of it.
right. I had it's no, this ain't nothing to do because I okay, here's the thing of it is I haven't said no names but his
Yo, you there? Yo, Chaz, kind of lost you there. Well, hopefully he comes back. Maybe he's got a little bit of some Wi-Fi issues or disconnection issues. Chaz, you already got the link. You know, you can blue, log off and then log back in. The point of this webisode is to shine light on the topic of co-opting, and Willie Lynch was a great example to shed light on the fact of how this movement should be run, and how co-opting and disagreements and infighting only bogs down the movement. But there's a lot of historical context as to why that goes down. So it's important for white people and people that are not black to understand why this takes place, and why sometimes it's important to call people out in the fashion of holding someone accountable, letting it out and moving along to continue to focus on the movement. And the people that are called out and don't respond in the proper fashion to that will fall by the wayside, because their work will show. It's all about the work showing. It's all about staying consistent in this movement and continuing to do what you need to do. Stay focused. Keep your eye on what needs to be done. And if someone's an enemy, if someone happens to be an enemy and they're on over there on their highway in their lane, and you're over here on your path, continuing to forge new paths, look, if y'all happen to cross paths, keep it moving. You know what I mean? We got work to do. Um, so that is like part of the point of what I was getting at. Matt says, just shows you one side only wants to beat the other, and vice versa. They care about humanity and social justice when it's convenient and gains attention from the country. And when it's not gaining attention, they're nowhere to be found. And that's what I'm getting at too, is the fact of the matter is, who's really paying attention to this movement will stay focused on keeping an eye on the movement. The viewers that want to make sure they're getting the real raw news and continuing to do their part will continue to do their part. And the ones that are about other things will continue to be about other things. It's just the way that the cookie crumbles and the way that life is. I want to give a shout out to Chaz for at least coming on and speaking his truth. And us talking about Willie Lynch, because I feel like I'm coming full circle here. The first the first episode that I did on the Leon Block over 2 years ago was about Willie Lynch and how that can bog down the movement based off of things that I went through. And so like this is kind of reminiscent of what I went through being in Chaz's position. And so I felt the need to have him on and speak his truth, because this is what we are here for people to share their experiences and talk about them in a fashion that holds context in a sense of educational purposes. This is for people to learn from, to understand that it can happen to them and to grow from it. Because life keeps moving, whether we want it to or not. We can't stay um, laser tuned and stagnant on one little thing. Things become quicksand and we get buried under it all. And then what are we going to do? How effective can we be in the movement? So I want to remind people of the evils of this. You know, there's so many people that have been assassinated. There are so many people who have been murdered. There are so many people who have been killed, who have died under questionable circumstances because they said things and knew things and were outspoken about stuff that was true. But people always don't like the truth being spoken. So be it. This is all the more reason why it's important for us to stick together and be a force to be reckoned with, an alliance, and stay solid on the fact that we're all doing something similar and going and headed in the same direction, which I would assume would be the right direction. I want to thank y'all for coming on the show and listening. Shout out to Matt. Shout out to Dave Moon TV. Shout out to Brown Shelley as well for always holding us down. Shout out to Soup for holding us down and sharing the stream. Appreciate all of y'all. This is what community looks like. This is what we're supposed to be. We got to hold each other down. We also have to hold each other accountable when need be and then keep it moving. That is the key right there. Hold each other accountable and keep it moving. There are going to be things that happen and things that transpire, things that go on that we don't like. And unfortunately, we can't stop it because it is none of our business. All we know is that if something happens to you, you speak your truth. Hold on, I think. No, you're not. Chaz says he's backstage, but I don't see him backstage. So I'm going to figure that out real quick. But while I'm figuring that out, everyone let me know what your thoughts are on Willie Lynch and Conquer and Divide and how these kinds of situations, such as the one we are talking about at hand. And if y'all have been watching Chaz's lives, y'all know the greater context of what is going on. But the purpose here is to talk about why it's important to speak out about stuff in the context of your truth and what happens in your life and move on from it. It's not about drama. It's not about focusing on drama. It's about speaking your truth and then letting it go. When one continues to focus and dwell on something and immerse themselves into drama instead of being productive, that's when it becomes a problem. But it's also important to listen to people when they're speaking their truth, and when they're being heard or when their truth is being heard, everyone can go their own directions and let it go and let them be the judgments for themselves. But there's always three sides to a story. And
Right.
sometimes unfortunately, people don't want to listen to one side because they already had their mind made up. And that's okay.
Right.
Cookie
No,
crumbles.
that's not okay. That's
It
people
is because
falling
guess
for
what?
anything.
It isn't okay, but in the overall scheme of what's in the universe's plans for you, you have work to
Right.
do. We have
Oh
work to do.
yeah.
So
That's
that's
what
something
I'm saying. Like,
that is dust off our shoulders. That is someone else's problem. You feel me? But I do get
right.
what you're saying.
Because as soon as we're done with this, like, and I've told him, and I want people to know, we are messaging privately. I want people to know this, but it gets nowhere. It gets nowhere because he still won't take accountability. He's still avoiding and deflecting and distracting.
Yes, Dave.
But tonight, I had to get this off my chest and tell my truth. And I wanted to do it in a constructive and educational way. I didn't
Hmm.
want the beef because I know there was going to be a ripple effect. Because we be out here trying to give justice for the same families. So I knew that this was going to be a ripple effect.
Hmm.
And
Right.
it is what it is. You know, people really need to pay attention, because there's going to be a ripple effect, and people are going to see it. And that's what's and I wanted to do this in a way where nobody gets hurt, and I want people to know too. I'm not adding names. I'm not calling other people to get. He's doing this. I told him how we can settle this, and he doesn't want to do it that way. So Um, but like I told him, if he says my name again, there's a whole other stuff that I could be saying. I've only said about 10% of the things that I seen. So not that I heard, that I seen with my own two eyes. And I don't want to victimize people. I don't want them to feel victimized all over again, because I've already feel like I victimized them by deleting those videos and not telling them first. So I already felt like I was victimizing them.
And that's why all the more reason why it's important for you to speak your piece. It's not about coming at people and attacking people. It's about your life. It's
Right,
about what's going on for you and you not holding your tongue anymore. And if people don't see it that way or understand it that way, that is okay. Everything is always a matter of perception. So no matter
right,
what, not everyone is gonna like or believe you, and that's not for that's okay.
right,
The fact
right,
of the matter is we got to keep forging the paths that we're creating in this movement. And if people ain't with it, they ain't with it. But that means they just
right,
ain't out. And that's okay.
right.
It's not okay, but it's all right. You feel me?
Oh, I feel you. No,
I just want to give some plugs out real quick. We got to do the plugs. Coming
right.
up, episode 4, State of America, Families of Police Brutality. That is September 11th. Do you know the times, Chaz?
The, the times.
Yeah.
I think we're doing that one an hour earlier than what we're usually doing. So I
Okay.
think that one was going to be at 7 Central
Okay.
and 8 Eastern. But I
Awesome.
gotta ask the producer. So before I should actually ask the producer before I state anything.
Bet.
Uh,
Well, it will be streaming to all these platforms. You definitely do not want to miss because we will be talking to the families of police brutality incidents, cases, and murders, lynchings, whatever you choose to call it. It's all the same thing, but I would rather call it execution or murders or lynchings. So yeah, you don't want to miss that. We also have another episode coming with the interview, the exclusive one-on-one interview I did with Ricardo Munoz's sister, Rulenis Munoz. Ricardo Munoz was killed under a mental health crisis here in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, back in 2020 during the protest of the summer of 2020, a month before Walter Wallace in Philadelphia, who also succumbed to the same exact kind of situation. No, uh, no talking to or talking down was initiated. The mental health crew did not show up. Police showed up instead. You already know how it goes. I think it was Meg just shouted out the statistics the other day, which was like 50% or something like that of all police brutality cases happen to be people under a mental health distress or mental health crises. And that's a big issue. You were talking about homelessness and classism. That has to do with
right.
this because they will criminalize us instead of getting us the rehabilitation that we need. And that is part of the scheme. And that is something that we talk about on this episode. We really dig into it. It is something that Rulenis really has been wanting to get off of her chest. So I really am looking forward to sharing that with y'all. But if you want, you can actually check it out on the Leon Block Spotify podcast. It is up now. Christina said, Chaz, thank you and respect you for speaking your truth.
And thank you. You're very welcome. Very welcome.
Yes, yes. Is there anything you want to wrap up by saying as far as like your purpose for coming on tonight, and why this is important to talk about, but also keep it moving?
'Cause I think with me going live, I think my earlier going live, I think it was so kind of unorganized and like all over the place. And I think doing this way in an educational way so that we could teach people, and because this is what it's about, each one teach one and everybody learning, because we're all in this together.
Mm-hmm.
uh and I we can't have unity without accountability. And what I've done the last 2 days is I've taken accountability for the wrongs that I've done to people, because I've sat there and everything that I've honestly, the same, I'm a hypocrite because the same things that I was out here screaming about, I was doing. I was looking the other way
Mm-hmm.
because out of loyalty,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't get that back from him. So Why would I be loyal and keep on lying, letting a person live a? Why do I need to live that lie? First of all, if you can't even tell the truth, I don't need to live that lie no more
Hmm.
because it was never about me. So I'm not gonna live it, and I don't want other people to have to live lies anymore because you don't have to.
I
You
completely
don't have
understand,
to.
and that's valid.
You
So in
know
other
because
words, it's just things that you sat on for too long that didn't necessarily affect you, and more so was the stuff that you witnessed happen to other people that you sat on for so long. You felt the need to speak out about this. Is that what I'm
yeah,
getting? Right, right.
right.
I
Because
definitely feel
this
you.
man called me his brother. You know what I'm saying? Because when people ask me questions about him, I'd say go ask him.
Right.
Why wouldn't he do that instead of just flying off at the mouth? So I, right is right, wrong is wrong. But don't sit there out here and saying you fighting for black lives if you up standing up for the wrong.
Right. See me and the way I operate. I've had people from opposing sides jump on, and I play ringmaster, and I let them hash it out, whatever. Um, that could have been the case if it was yesterday or earlier today. You know what I'm saying? I'm not doing that now. We passed it. We
All
passed it,
right.
and I want to urge you to move on from it too.
Oh, I
Um,
am.
as long as you purged all what you need to purge, let people think what they want to think, but we move on because we got, like I said, I keep saying it, affirmations. We got work to do. We got work
Yes,
to
we
do.
do.
We got so much work to do.
And
We
I'm
don't
gonna.
have time. Our lives, our lifetimes, this is still not going to be done. So we have to instill the rest of the army to continue our work. That's how much time we do not have. Feel me?
Right. You know what's crazy is I'm gonna ask Marcus, who is my partner,
Hmm.
in Black Lives the Streets. This is a man that started Black Lives the Streets and allowed me to join and be part of something great. Because we are actually out here making real change. People are talking about they're getting it done, but how? And I want people because it's the same journey as me, but different. This was a man that was out in front of the third precinct when it was on fire. This is a man that'll tell you that what we're seeing today is an effect from that, but people
Right,
don't want to believe it. You know,
right.
and I know we talked about some earlier, and I'm gonna plug it a little bit. I don't know a date yet, uh, but maybe by putting this out there to talk it into an existence. So if you're listening, my brother, and I'm gonna send this to you later to you privately, uh, that hopefully we can have you on here, man, because you are a blessing to this movement, and you need to get your truth out still too, my brother. So come on,
Yeah, yeah.
because you're loved, and we need you out here. So what you did today, my brother, much love, much respect, and
Yep, yep.
keep up the good fight.
You already know. Yes, yes. All right, Chaz. We finna get off of here.
Alrighty.
Any last things you want to say?
Nah, man, I just want people to if mean that word. If you love somebody, really mean that. If you say you care for them, mean that.
Right.
Because we supposed to look out for each other. Because who keeps us safe?
We keep us safe.
Right. So that's what it is. So
That's
with
what it
that,
is.
one love.
That's right, Chaz. All right. Well, you heard it from the horse's mouth right there. Chaz said his piece about what he vented out today. If anyone needed any kind of clarification, he said his truth. And if you missed the beginning of this webisode, run that shit back. We will be re-airing it tomorrow morning. However, if you did miss it and you want to check it, you want to restream it, I don't care what you do with it, but we like to feed information. We like to feed truth. We like to give you what you need because your root needs to be fueled. All right. I love y'all. Make sure you meditate on your path, celebrate your being, liberate your spirit, and educate yourself. I'm Jontel. Have a good one.